We play these things a lot, but we're going to play one of them again because it's important to remember when we're going to talk about the coronavirus. But while we're talking about the coronavirus, remember this is the way that the news media has covered Trump for 3 years. This is cut number 10.
This is the worst.
The worst.
The worst.
Terrible, horrible, no good, worst first 100 days ever.
Worst first 100 days that we've seen in modern times.
It's being called the worst 100 days probably since it's been tracked.
You seriously believe this is a turning point for Republicans and for this president?
In many ways, the dam broke today.
You could see Republicans join the chorus of impeachment.
It begins to undermine his presidency.
This could be a turning point.
There does seem to be a feeling of this time is different.
Thursday could be the worst day of Donald Trump's presidency.
Today really was, as it was predicted to be, the worst day of the Trump presidency. And Donald Trump knows it.
It's a turning point.
Is this a turning point?
There is so much noise, it would be easy to miss an actual turning point.
The single worst day in the single worst week.
It is very difficult to imagine many Republicans in Washington rallying to the president's side.
I know we've said this time and time again, but I'll say it again. There was a turning point.
Trump's presidency is effectively over.
CNN sucks.
So just remember, that's the emotional atmosphere they've been creating. That's the point and purpose of what they do. That is why they do it. It is not, they get exposed here for saying this is false and that's false. Still, it is a constant drumbeat. It does create an emotional atmosphere in which what happens next, if Trump makes a mistake or if he says something he shouldn't say, that's the atmosphere into which it goes. It's like throwing a match into a room full of gas, it just blows up. So the Washington Post has a story about how it says open governments are struggling to encourage responsibility about a growing pandemic without inspiring panic. Russia appears to be trying to do just the opposite. Evidence suggests Moscow is spreading propaganda designed to stoke anxiety about the virus and distrust in authorities' efforts to fight it. Citizens in China are suffering not from a deluge of misleading material, but from a dearth of open discussion, U.S. officials say. Thousands of Russian-linked accounts on social media have been posting almost near identical messages about the coronavirus to spread panic, and the Chinese have a different problem. Officials are using their ability to monitor WeChat accounts, even outside the country, to censor expatriates. But they have great literacy programs. That's the important thing.
Really? Really?
Yes, because there's no comparing bad.
Just remember who the socialists are, and just remember that when you talk about medical innovations, when you talk about closing borders, when you talk about taking care of the public and giving public real information, not panicking information, it's freedom, it's capitalism, it's democracies that do that, not socialist governments, no matter how many people there can read. All right, let's take a look at what's going on. So obviously, the coronavirus has caused problems. It's caused problems in the stock markets. And this is the thing. They keep hitting Trump for caring about the stock markets. Of course, he should care about the stock markets. It's part of the financial system, and it's an important thing, and he cares about that, and he's a financial guy. This has been true in global markets. Japanese Prime Minister Abe has asked schools to close through the spring break, which normally means early April, in a bid to contain the outbreak there. Iran said its death toll reached 26, with 245 confirmed cases. In China, the government has announced another consecutive fall in new cases, though it's hard to trust what they say. So Trump did the right thing. He had a press conference with his team from the medical team. Here is his statement from Cut 11, saying things are not so bad.
We have, through some very good early decisions that were actually ridiculed at the beginning, we closed up our borders to flights coming in from certain areas that were hit by the coronavirus and hit pretty hard. And we did it very early. A lot of people thought we shouldn't have done it that early, and we did, and it turned out to be a very good thing. And the number one priority from our standpoint is the health and safety of the American people, and that's the way I viewed it when I made that decision.
So, he has done a lot of stuff that is going to make this easier. Look, a virus is a virus. It doesn't care whether you're a Democrat or Republican. He put Mike Pence in charge of the project to treat this, which I got to say is a thankless task, because we know it will get worse. I mean, a virus is going to get worse. So whatever goes wrong, it's like, don't look at me, it's Mike Pence. So I wouldn't have been surprised if Pence was just like sweating under his collar, yeah, this is great. I'm in charge of the coronavirus effort. But the thing about this is that the Democrats have really been awful. This is a moment. It is, these moments do exist when the right thing to do is to hold your fire and wait and see what happens. It's not that they can't do the political thing if there really is trouble, but at this point, the right thing to do is to shut up and support the president and support the efforts. Instead, this is what you get from Pelosi. This is cut 9.
The Senate has a proposal. We'll have something similar, which addresses the need for the professionals to be in place. The president let go a couple of years ago, never replaced them. This is shameful. Puts forth a proposal now that is meager, anemic in terms of addressing as well. With Ebola, we did $5 billion. Now they're trying to take the Ebola money and spend it here. So what he's doing is late, too late, anemic. Hopefully we can make up for the loss of time, but it'll have to have the professionals in place, the resources that are adequate, and not be using scare tactics about people coming back to our country.
She's become a crazed lunatic.
It's complete Democrat crap. The game here is to say, oh, it's not enough, stuff all this garbage into this bill and use it to increase government spending. The Democrats do this all the time. And why shouldn't he take? There was something like $500 million from the Ebola money not used. Why shouldn't he take it back? Why? Because once you put your money in the government's hands, they never give it back. And why shouldn't he be careful about people coming back into the country? What the hell is she talking about? She's utterly in the wrong, 100% in the wrong. And it's a time to shut up anyway. Just a day to go by and say, hey, we're all going to work together to handle this. 2 days, does it matter? And then they hit Trump for striking back because Trump, of course, is a dog. If a dog barks at Trump, he will walk back 2 blocks to kick it. But he strikes back against Pelosi's cut 13.
I think Speaker Pelosi's incompetent. She lost the Congress once. I think she's going to lose it again. She lifted my poll numbers up 10 points. I never thought that I would see that so quickly and so easily. I'm leading everybody. We're doing great. I don't want to do it that way. It's almost unfair if you think about it. But I think she's incompetent, and I think she's not thinking about the country. She knows it's not true. She knows all they're trying to do is get a political advantage. This isn't about political advantage. We're all trying to do the right thing.
So, well, let's play the other cut 2, in which he goes after the Democrats for the stock market, the cut 14.
I think the financial markets are very upset when they look at the Democrat candidate standing on that stage making fools out of themselves. And they say, if we ever have a president like this, and there's always a possibility, it's an election, who knows what happens, right? I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win by a lot. But when they look at the statements made by the people standing behind those podiums, I think that has a huge effect, yeah.
Had to do with the coronavirus?
No, I think it did. But I think you can add quite a bit of sell-off to what they're seeing.
So, people then basically equate Trump and Pelosi, and they say, well, Pelosi got political and then Trump has to strike back and all this stuff. But just remember that Pelosi has the entire force of the news and entertainment media behind her. She's got all of that behind her. So when she talks, it's echoed and it's praised and it's repeated in the press. We saw that opening montage, the way the press has been hitting Trump continually when there was no crisis, when things were going absolutely great. Remember, all that stuff was manufactured. Russia collusion, manufactured, impeachment, manufactured. None of that was real. Before you go, one last thing. Hit the subscribe button so that you stay up to date on all our content.